podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Hello everyone. Regular listeners of the Paddock and the Pavilion will know the show's connection to the Trailblazing Trainer Ellen Chaloner and the Chaloner family. In this podcast, I was joined by Ellen's great-granddaughter, Susie Wilks, to talk about the Ellen Chaloner Stakes, which was first run at Newmarket's Rowley Mile on Saturday, May the 6th. Joining Susie are her cousins, Marietta Krikhaar and Tom Chaloner. I was also joined by Ann Elliott, the part owner of Azure Blue, the filly who won the first Ellen Chaloner Stakes, while Joe Rendall of the Jockey Club gives his reaction to this historic day at the Rowley Mile Newmarket. Enjoy another chapter in the Ellen Chaloner story. Hello, Susie. Welcome back to the Paddock and the Pavilion to talk about the Ellen Chaloner Stakes Day.
Thank you, Stephen. It's good to be here.
Well, before we talk about you and your family's experience on Saturday, the 6th of May, actually the whole weekend, I think, Susie, did you ever think you would be at Newmarket to watch a race named after your great-grandmother?
No, I didn't. I thought she was so far in the past that really people wouldn't be interested. But I was amazed, actually, at how many people have sort of come back to me and said, you know, how fascinating the whole story is.
Well, one person who wasn't able to be at Newmarket was your cousin Marietta, but I did manage to catch up with her a few days before the race for her reaction. Can you believe we have an Ellen Chaloner Stakes on Saturday?
I found that a complete surprise, very unexpected, and I think it's wonderful. I really do, and she deserves it because of her achievement. You know, the first lady of the turf, sort of having 8 children, riding until she's about 96, and she well deserves it. And I think it's absolutely fantastic.
It's really thanks to Marietta that all this has happened. She was very determined, although she's not a racing person. She was very determined that she was going to get Ellen recognised, and she's achieved it. And I think she's done amazingly.
Well, thank you for that. And I know working with Marietta for over sort of 12 months, she made a real difference to the campaign. I said weekend because you travelled down on the train from Scotland. It's a long time since you've been to Newmarket.
I don't think I've been there since 1977. It had changed quite a lot. Yes, I came down on the train, had a terrible journey because we had a points failure at York. They had us on and off numerous trains before they decided which one was going to Peterborough. And I was standing waiting to get off at Peterborough with another lady. And we got talking, and I asked her where she was going, and she said she was going to Newmarket. And I said, oh, so am I. And I said, are you going racing? And she said, yes, I've got a runner. And she said, have you got a runner? And I said, no, but I've got a race. And she was asking me all about it. So I told her about the Ellen Chaloner race. And she said, oh, my horse is running in that race. And the rest is history, really, because it was her horse that actually won the race. It's quite a coincidence.
Yeah, it was. It's not often you can say that the race is named after your family. But I did get to speak to Ann Elliott, the part owner of Azure Blue, who won the race, to find out her side of the story, travelling down with you on the train to Newmarket. Can you take up the story of meeting Susie Wilks, the great-granddaughter of Ellen Chaloner, on the train?
Yes, very unusually, I was going to Newmarket by train on Friday, the day before the race. My partners, the Appletons, who they have family in Newmarket and their son works there. They'd been down earlier in the week seeing the grandchildren. And we knew that after Newmarket on Saturday, we were going up to Hamilton to see another horse run on the Sunday. And so I said, look, I'll just nip down on the train and I'll meet up with you. Then we'll all travel together because there's no point in having 2 cars down there. So as it happened, Susie had got on the train at Edinburgh. I got on at Darlington, and at York, there was chaos because points problems further down the line. And I think we were probably on about 4 trains before we got back to, back on a train that was going to Newark. And then we got off at Peterborough. And I got up from my seat, and she was actually sitting opposite me at this stage. And I noticed her get up. And there's just something I thought she looked involved in racing. She looked as if she might be going to Newmarket. So I was standing in the foyer before the train stopped, and I just got chatting, and I said, "Oh, were you on that train, the fated train that was delayed and delayed and delayed?" And she says, "Yes, I came on at Edinburgh." And I said, "Are you going on from Peterborough?" She says, "Yes, I'm going to Newmarket, but I'm being picked up at Cambridge." And I said, "Oh, I'm going to Newmarket." I said, "You're going racing?" And so that's how it happened. And she says, "Yeah, I'm down for my great-grandmother's race." I said, "That's the fillies listed race, isn't it?" She says, "Yeah, have you got a run?" And then that's how it happened. And so we got off together at Peterborough, and then our paths sort of split. And then I met her back on the winners' podium when we won the race on Saturday. So it was just a pure fluke, that I was on the train. We'd obviously been in very different carriages earlier on the train, but because of all the cancellations, we just ended up in the same carriage and ended up getting off at the same time.
What a coincidence. You don't always speak to other passengers when you just happen to speak to the right one.
Well, yeah. Well, it's Northern, I suppose. We do speak to people on trains. But yeah, I don't always. And it was just I just thought she looked as if she was going racing.
How many members of the family came down to Newmarket, Susie?
I think there were 8 of us altogether, including a cousin, actually quite a close cousin, because I've tracked him on the family tree, and who we'd never met, Philip Chaloner. And he is the grandson, I think, of one of Ellen's children. He and I exchanged family trees, and I traced where he'd sort of fitted in. So that was very interesting.
Unfortunately, Charlie Swan was a non-runner on the day.
He had to go and work. So that was very sad. I think he was very sad to miss it, actually. But I hope he might come to the unveiling of the tombstones. But he's also been a great support.
You did have a meal out on the Friday night, though, I think, didn't you?
Yes, we were all together in the same hotel, so we had a very good weekend, except the weather was awful.
And how were the family looked after on Ellen Chaloner Stakes Day?
We were thoroughly spoilt, really. We were met by Sophie and taken up to the owners and trainers, where she showed us a photograph of Ellen that's been put up in the owners and trainers with a plaque underneath it explaining who she is. And we had a drink there. And then we went to watch the first race. And then we were taken into the paddock to judge the best turned out, which I think, because none of them really know a lot about racing, fell to Charlie Swan's dad, Donald, and myself. And then we were taken up to the Royal Box to watch the race, because actually Newmarket's not a great viewing racecourse, and it was quite foggy. So the best way to watch anything was on the television. And then after the race, we were taken down back to the paddock to present the prize. But we were extremely well looked after. Both Joe and Sophie from the Jockey Club have been great.
Yes, and you also met with an old school friend and
yes,
TV,
I did.
in
Yes.
the Royal Box.
Yes, Roz, who is a member of the Jockey Club actually, and lives very near there. I managed to get in touch with her, and we met up, which was great. It was lovely to see her again. One of the things we were talking about, which was another connection, was that one of the other girls that we were at school with is Bunty War, and of course it was Bunty's father who trained from Osborne House, who Sir Mark took over from. And I never knew that. And of course, her father knew Ellen. And all those years we were at school together, I never knew that, which is very sad, really. I might even have got myself invited to the stables.
Amazing how you found that out on that day.
Yeah, yes. We always used to be frightfully jealous of Bunty because she was allowed out of prep to listen to the race results on the radio.
You also spoke to Bruff Scott in the Royal Box as well. Yes.
I have actually met Bruff before because he came up to Perth when he was doing a tour of all the race courses. Yes, it's always interesting to talk to him.
I know he hadn't spoken, or didn't know Donald Swan because I introduced him to Donald Swan.
Yeah. They must have been riding about the same time together as amateurs, I think.
Yes, because Donald was riding in the early 70s,
Yeah.
We mentioned earlier that the race was won by Azure Blue, the Michael Dods trained filly, ridden by Paul Mulrennan, and part owned, as we said, by Ann Elliott. And I got to speak to Ann about the race win.
First time out, you wonder how fit she is. We've had very changeable weather up here. It's been warm, then cold and wet and windy. And fillies, they like the sun on their back. And, we didn't know first time out whether she would fit. But Paul Mulrennan's always loved her. And, he's given us a lot of confidence. But you never know first time out. Last year, first time out, she didn't win. We're just very, very lucky to have her.
So were you confident on the day, even despite all the rain?
No. I don't think you can be confident in a fillies listed race at Newmarket on Guineas Day. It's just, it's beyond dreams for a small yard. Michael's horses had just started running into form. You just don't know how fit they are until you get them on the racecourse, really. So no, it was a magical day.
And where did you watch the race from?
Linda and I have got our own little place. We've got sort of creatures of habit. There's a bin just below the owners and trainers, and we stand behind the bin, behind the owners and trainers. And then Michael's daughters, he's got twin daughters, Chloe and Sophie. And Chloe's working with Michael now, learning the trade, so to speak. And they travelled down on the day. So we were standing with Chloe because Sophie had led up Michael's other runner in the race, Girl Force Mayer.
And she won by half a length.
Was it half a length in the end?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, she came. Michael Paul covers her up to start with because she can be quite keen. She raced in the centre, and then about a furlong out, he let her go, and I just thought, oh, is it a bit soon? Has he come a bit soon? But no, she stuck to her task, and she loves that finish. She loves that uphill finish, and Paul said she's such a well-balanced filly. She was just amazing. Just first time out. She could have a good blow at the end, but that's only to be expected. I mean, it's a fillies listed race, Newmarket on Guineas Day.
Yes, the inaugural running of the Ellen Chaloner Stakes. What does it feel like to?
I know, and it's going to be retained, the name, I think, which is amazing. And when you hear the story of Ellen Chaloner, she had a sad life in lots of ways. Losing her husband at an early age, then surviving all her children, and it was she was some lady, I think. And I'm so pleased she's been acknowledged, because I'm old enough to remember when the first licenses were given to lady trainers in the 60s. And it was a big thing, women being allowed to train. And no, it's just nice to see her acknowledged for herself and for her family, and that her grave is going to be acknowledged as well.
I actually got to speak to you, Susie, and your cousin Tom on the race day. And this is what you had to say on the race day.
Well, it's been very exciting. The weather could have been better. The right horse won, as I happened to meet the owner of that horse on the train coming down from Scotland. But it's been a huge privilege for the family, and I hope Ellen will have been very proud of us that at last we have got her to the forefront of lady trainers.
And you've been very well looked after by the Jockey Club.
Very well looked after, very spoiling. Yes, I doubt we'll get this treatment again, but it's been wonderful. Thank you, Jockey Club.
It's been a great honour. We've really enjoyed it, seeing all the horses, beautiful horses, and actually presenting the prize for the winner of the Ellen Chaloner race. It was really interesting.
And how are things going with the headstone, Tom?
Well, the headstone has caused us a few problems. We wanted a light limestone stone which would match the surrounding stones, which we were able to find, but unfortunately, as you always have trouble with these things, it had to be imported from abroad, and it has caused some delay, but we've at last managed to get them erected, and they're fully erected now, and we've got 2 graves, one for Ellen Chaloner and one for Tom Chaloner.
The Ellen Chaloner Stakes is already set a high standard of winner, because Azure Blue went on to win a Group 2 race at York on the 17th of May.
Yes, I saw that, yes.
And you've guessed it, I spoke to Ann Elliott about that win at York, and this is what she had to say about the Group 2 victory for Azure Blue. Since we last spoke, your filly Azure Blue has now won a Group 2, the 1895 Duke of York Clipper Stakes at York's Dante meeting.
How unreal is that? Yeah, I mean, and, you know, she went off at 12-1. There was no Paddock, you know, there's no Paddock commentary. There was no commentary down at the start. It was, she was under the radar, I think. I think that's the top and the bottom of it. She was under people's radar. She went off at 12-1, which was a great price, bearing in mind she's won her last 2 races have been listed. She won the last 4. Yeah, it's surreal, I think is the best way to talk about it. But, how lucky we are to have her. I mean, she's uncomplicated. She's proven she goes on. She went on soft. She's gone on good ground. We wouldn't want it any firmer. I know last year at Newmarket, she had a couple of races on the July course, and it was just really firming up. And so we just want to look after her, really.
The whole team must have been so excited at winning a group race. Yeah,
well, Michael's won. Obviously, he's had Mecca's Angel, Mab's Cross, Intense Romance. He's won group races. And then, of course, at the moment, he's got Dakota Gold, who is a York specialist. Comanche Falls was third in our race, which was a brilliant run for him. And that's his second listed. You know, he's won 2 Stewards Cup. So he's really good with sprinters. I mean, he just looks after his horses. He's very good with fillies. They just seem to respond to his way of training. And for us to have her, I mean, Paul Mulrennan always thought she was a very good filly in the making. He's always said that right from last year. But, you know, they've got to go in the course and do it. And she's proven herself. And to go from listed to Group 2, as Michael said, you know, it was quite an ask. Especially, it was a Group 1 field. You know, the Group 1 winners, you had Highfield Princess, 3 Group 1s. And, we've always had faith in her. But, you know, they've got to go out and do it. And she did. She's amazing. I mean, she's very well balanced. She's a big filly. She's over 500k, but she's very well balanced, as she's proved at Newmarket, coming out the dip and up the hill. So, yeah, we're just very, very fortunate to have her. And to say, Peter and Linda, my partners, in her, they mind her. Found her at book 3 at Tats. So, yeah. Don't know what else to say, really.
And for this podcast, the Ellen Chaloner Stakes podcast, a great advert for the Ellen Chaloner Stakes.
It is. It's a great stepping stone. I mean, the team, it really is a team effort. Andrew, who looks after her, Kenny, the travelling had lad, has taken her to the races. They've kept her calm. You know, they know how to look after her at the races. Michael, Carol, and you know, his daughters. they're riding out on the gallops. It's a real team effort. You've got your stable jockey Connor and Paul and Phil Dennis. They go in to ride out, and it's hard work. It really is hard work. And I think Paul said, it makes all those early mornings and those late nights and those long days worth it. So we're very lucky. And as you say, the Ellen Chaloner was a great stepping stone. And I mean, you couldn't get two more contrasting weather days. It was Newmarket when Ellen Chaloner raced was just a deluge. But I mean, that was a big meeting as well. I mean, that was, the 2000 Guineas day. And then we go to the Dante meeting, first day, the big race of the day, the group 2 with a Musadora group 3. I mean, it was amazing. And for a small yard, and local, and it's great. We can go and see we go up mainly Saturdays, but some Wednesdays as well. And it's lovely. A lot of the owners were there the owners in the yard were there on Wednesday, and everybody's pleased for everybody when they have a good success. And as I say, we've seen it with Dakota Gold, Comanche Falls, Intense Romance, Get Knotted. These sprinters that Michael's had, he seems to have a bit of genius about him when it comes to them.
Well, thank you, Anne, again for being on the podcast, and the very best of luck with Azure Blue for the rest of the season. Remember, you can follow the Paddock and the Pavilion on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram at the Pad and Pav. Susie, you've also got some excellent news on the headstones for Ellen and the family.
Yes, the headstones have been put in and they look terrific. And we're having an unveiling in October. And we're all going to meet again down there. I hope I'm going to be able to go, but I may not. But there'll certainly be quite a large contingent of family to officially unveil them. But from the photographs I've seen, they look really good.
Yeah, I've been down to see them myself, and I've got some photos, and they do look very special. There's a very big area for them. Ellen's in Newmarket Cemetery, just across from the Rowley Mile racecourse where she used to attend. And we mustn't forget, Ellen Chaloner was also the first woman trainer to win a race at Royal Ascot with Jersey Lily in 1887.
Yes, I believe so. That was quite an achievement.
It's now the Jersey Stakes, and 100 years later, one of the guests on the Paddock and the Pavilion's podcast, Gay Kellaway, became the first woman jockey to ride a winner at Royal Ascot.
Yes, it was lovely to meet Gay at the Jockey Club on the day that we went down to launch the whole appeal.
Before I ask you for your final thoughts, Susie, on the Ellen Chaloner Stakes Day, let's hear from Joe Rendall at the Jockey Club. Joe's the communications lead for the Eastern region, and this is what he had to say about the day.
I think it was a really good day. It was obviously a little damper than we were anticipating, but I think the atmosphere on course was fantastic actually, and I don't think the weather really kind of dampened the spirits of the racegoers who were there. Obviously, a very, very impressive winner of the Ellen Chaloner Stakes with Azure Blue, who's gone on to do good things at York more recently since, and it was a really nice day to have the family there. Actually, I think. Obviously, some of them are very involved in racing, some of them slightly less so. But we were able to show them the kind of new portrait and plaque we've got for Ellen Chaloner in our owners and trainers suite, which I think they really appreciated. And we were able to get them involved, choosing the best turned out horse beforehand and doing the presentation afterwards, and just giving them a bit of a feel for the day, really. So, yeah, I think, it's been a brilliant initiative to be involved in. It's obviously been a little while coming to fruition, but it felt like a really, really nice way to kind of close things off, I suppose, and to thank the Chaloner family for the campaign and others such as yourself as well on what was a really historic day for Newmarket, with obviously Frankie's last winner in the 2000 Guineas and also the coronation of King Charles III.
So, Susie, what are your final reflections on Ellen Chaloner Stakes Day? Mustn't forget, it was also Coronation Day, it was 2000 Guineas Day, and to get the American feeling, it was also the Kentucky Derby Day as well.
Yes, it was quite some day. Well, I'm absolutely delighted that Ellen's getting the recognition that we, the family, think she deserves. It's a great honour to have a race named after her in perpetuity. I hope she's up there looking down, and I hope she'll be very pleased.
Well, I'm sure she will. And thank you for joining me again to celebrate Ellen Chaloner Stakes Day.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you for all your help in getting us where we have got to.
Thank you very much.
Sports Social Podcast Network.